coming into the chat. So the overall agenda that we will be talking about today will be key dates for Year 9, and the scholar learning habits, the code of conduct, which we all know what we would like our students to follow for Charlton High, progress test information, effort criteria, what we use in school, reporting process to yourselves, extra curriculum after school, and a brief introduction to the pathway process options, because I know a lot of the students have been asking, so I can only imagine the parents, you want to ask questions as well. But I'm hoping that when we do have the open evening is the best way for all of us to see each other and to ask as many questions as possible. Our young, brilliant students that I have in my year group. So without further ado, we'll get this show on the road. Thank you. Right, Monday the 16th of January to Friday the 27th of January, the progress test fortnight will begin. All students have been informed about this, and they have been working really hard towards this from last year. So your encouragement, I cannot ask for any more. Just keep encouraging our little ones. On Friday the 20th of January, the pathway booklets will be sent out to parents and the forms will be given to the students. So this is your opportunity now to sit down with the student, with the students themselves, and decide what options they would like to choose. Don't worry if your child doesn't know what they want to do, because we have a good insight on what areas they've got their level 1s and their level 2s in. So don't worry about that. On Wednesday, the 25th of January, how dyslexia is supported at Charlton High School, because a lot of parents want to know, with a lot of things that are going on, what support them and their children will get. So that will be taking place on the 25th. On Thursday, the 26th of January, the pathway evenings, as I said, it's the first time we will all be together. So please write this down in your diaries, the 26th of January, 6 till 8. And the week commencing the 30th of January, we will be doing a pathway interview with the students in the first instance, but we'll talk more about that anyway. On Friday, the 10th of February, that will be the deadline for the pathway forms to be handed in, so we can collate the information and make sure that our students are where they want to be. And on Wednesday, the 8th of March, how ADD and ADHD is supported at Charlton High School, because I'm aware that a lot of parents are having their little ones being assessed. So of course it's new to them. So we are going to give advice on the 8th of March, but we are happy as a team and as a school to answer any questions that you may have. Thank you, and I hope what we have put together, it is very informative for you. So until I see you all on the 26th of January, which I do really look forward to seeing you all, I hope our information this evening is very helpful to you. So thank you very much.
Thanks, Miss. With the sessions on ADHD and dyslexia, those dates are in the diary at the minute, but they are subject to change. So we will let you know from our Access and Achievement team to confirm those dates. But I just wanted to put them on there just so you're aware that they're happening. It'll be a virtual event like this, and it'll be recorded. So if you can't attend, it'll be there on the website for you to access. Okay, I'm going to hand over to Miss Dobson, our head of school, who you met on the last virtual event, just to talk through our scholar learning habits, which has been our huge drive this term. Thank you.
Hi everybody. So basically since September, over our last autumn term, we've been driving a few learning habits with our students, excuse me, and asked to support them with maximising their success in learning. So we thought we'd show you some of these, and it'd be a nice opportunity to share those kind of key ideas and key messages we've been given to students on a regular basis. So this is happening across all of their lessons. All of the teachers have been talking to students about all of these learning habits. So if you ask any of your students, they should be able to reiterate them to you. So our first one is organised. So to be a scholar, we're looking at organisation. We have got what we call STEP Now, they all kind of have little walkthrough sections with them, which are those 4 sections to help students to remember and follow through with those. So first things is thinking about kind of their equipment. So starting their day, making sure that they have the right equipment for the day. Then we're looking into taking pride in their books. So that's to do, you know, underlining, highlighting, and many of our students are really good at that. So looking at the books and taking pride in those books. And we have been around, and Miss Baxter and Miss Quinn have looked around at books recently, and they've been beautiful. So just keeping on top of that side of things. Extending notes. So obviously we have sections in for extension for if there's an area that they're unsure of or an area that they've done really well in, how could they maybe extend their knowledge, and then preparation or preparing to progress. So this is something that has been driven with our students since September, and it's just thinking of how you as parents and carers can support your students into using the same habits and same language that we've been using in school. So it might be if you are actively looking at their exercise books, students are able to take exercise books home, and by looking through them you can hopefully see the kind of pride that they are taking in those books. Celebrating that as well, because like I've mentioned, us as a year team have been round to classes, and some of the books are beautiful and they've really stepped up since last year. So we celebrate that on our side. Obviously celebrating that with your children as well would be fabulous. Ensuring that the students are equipped. Now we have equipment and pencil cases that students can have in school if necessary. They just need to come and talk to Miss Baxter or myself or Miss Quinn, and then they can obviously keep those for the year or the school life. So if there's any issues with equipment or any worries about students not potentially having any stationery, please do get in contact with us. And encouraging your child to revisit their learning in their exercise books. So having a look what they've done in that day. We have sections in our exercise books for extension, for progress. So you can just have a little look there and think, okay, what can I do to maybe extend my learning in that area? Our next scholar habit is attention. So we've used STAR for this one. So paying attention like a star. Your S is about sitting up straight. So once you're in class, you know, if you're not slouched over, you're sitting up, you're ready to learn. T is tracking your teacher. So making sure that you are giving eye contact where it needs to be on the teacher, or if it's a video on the screen. A is asking and answering questions, and R is being respectful, whether that's to each other, to staff members. So how you can help or support this habit would be thinking about where learning is most effective. So students need to pay attention. Obviously, if they are daydreaming or falling asleep or on the phones, all of these things already we know are not acceptable in children. So making sure that they are aware, you're thinking, okay, when's the best time I need to give my full attention? Why? And you as parents and carers can let students know, you know, obviously if you're paying attention, then everything is or going in, and then if you're anything you're unsure of, you can be like, oh, and ask a question to the teacher. Again, getting children ready to learn, so having a good night's sleep will definitely help with that kind of focus and attention given to the teacher. So just trying to ensure no screen time if possible before bedtime, and ensuring that students are getting a good night's sleep will help with this learning habit. And a lot of these things are stuff that you know already and we know already, and they might seem obvious, but it's things that we're keeping as reminders, and students are really responding to well. Asking them questions. So you might ask your child about something they've done in lesson today, and you can ask them questions. So that kind of falls into the A under our STAR. You can ask them questions about the work and they can answer them, or they might be able to think of questions themselves to maybe ask the teacher for the next lesson. And that in its turn is the same language that we're using, and making that habit become a regular habit for our students. Our next learning habit is home study, and with progress checkpoints coming up, this is something that we have been looking at recently, and we are looking at in a bit more detail over the next few weeks. So home study habits, we've got home, which is having a plan, so thinking about maybe organising your times, so your weekends, evenings, whatever, so what type of things you might need to revise. Organising your resources, so making sure you have notes from your lessons. You've got your exercise books, so you can use your exercise books for revision. If there's any websites or anything that the teachers have provided, making sure you've got those written down. Maximising study habits. So again, this comes into term. We have already given out revision booklets, and that's got loads of planning area space for it, so you can organise the time, and students can organise their time so they know, okay, I need to do however much revision in science, history, and they can organise their time so it's not just kind of an overload of information ready and an overload of revision, in preparation for those progress tests. And then evaluating their progress. So having a little look at how they did maybe in autumn term, if there's any mini tests. I know this is the first progress checkpoint, but maybe thinking or having a little checklist of key areas that they're revising, and being able to evaluate where they like RAG, so red, amber, green, how they feel about each of those sections. So how you can support with this learning habit would be maybe discussing homework and homework plans with your child. It's important that they maintain a social calendar as well, and after school activities. We're not saying, you need to revise as soon as you get home before you go to bed. Please do still factor in time for themselves. Make sure they factor in times to still socialise. It might be that they like to play football on a weekend with the friends or family or whatever. So you can put that into the plan. So that's definitely accounted for. We still want students to ensure they are maintaining their mental health and well-being and that work-life kind of balance.
And I'm also happy to devise, and I have done this in the past, I'm happy to devise a timetable with the students in school so that they can bring that home, and it can be put on the fridge, on a wall, so they know they can factor in if there's a wedding. Unfortunately, sometimes there's a funeral, so they can factor all of these things in, and there's other ways they can use their time when they're away from home, like they can use a flip chart on their phone, because we all know our kids have got phones. So there's many ways, and I'm more than happy to help any student that comes along who wants to devise a timetable. Quite a few of the students on Teams have been showing me, which is beautiful, because they're trying their best, but they're not putting pressure on themselves as well, and they have found that it does work. So encourage your little ones to come to me, and we'll devise a timetable so it can be pinned up in the house so you can all see, so there's not a lot of stress on yourselves to get them to study. There's a timetable there. So yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Miss. So yeah, like we said, looking at timetables, ensuring that a child has somewhere to actually do their home learning. So if you know that your home is busy or busy at certain times, we do have places in school and after school clubs and homework clubs and the library where students can use Monday to Friday. So if there's something at home that might be busy, or you might have young carers and helpers around the home, then please do encourage your child to maybe stay after school, go to a homework club where there's another member of staff there if they need any help, or to the library where they can use our computers or have a bit of a quiet space to just sit and do a bit of revision. And encouraging them to revisit learning from previous lessons. So a good habit to get into maybe is, you've had 5 lessons today, go home, 3 minutes on each lesson summarising it. What have I learned today? That's short and sweet, but you get small kind of revision cards or summarisers of that for next year, year 11. That's already kind of a bank or a quick win when it comes to revision resources. That's one way of doing it, but still just looking at previous lessons and being able to think about what they've done previously, not just what they've done in the last week, because obviously when it comes to these progress checks, that revision is going to go back sometimes to year 7 content. So just making sure that they are continuing to recap and retrieve information from the work they've done previously, whether that was last month, whether that was September, even year 7 and 8 as well. So this one is an important one, especially, like I said, at the moment, and this is something that we are looking at in form times as well this week. So there's a lot of home study habits and strategies for helping with home learning, and methods to use and utilise at home. We are looking at in form time this week and next week as well, and we have done a little bit before Christmas. So our last scholar learning habit that we have looked at so far, so we've done 4 of 7, is reading, and reading with fluency. So with this scholar habit, we've broken it down into read. So we've got reading routinely, engaging with the reading strategy, so engaging with the different things about questioning what you're reading, asking questions about what you're reading, your imagination, actively improving your vocabulary, and delving into reading materials. So with this, we have reading every Thursday in form time anyway, so we have form readers. Tuesdays, students can bring their own books and have that form time session to do a bit of reading as well, which is a really nice time for them to look at and pick something that they are happy to do. They are something that they are happy about or enjoy reading about. It doesn't have to be anything specific. It could be, you know, anime or anything that they are interested in. So that session, especially that Tuesday morning time, is a nice time for students to attempt and try some reading, kind of not relating to subject areas. So some ways you can help, and reading we know will actively improve vocabulary. That is scientifically proven. So more reading different genres will help with vocabulary. Now, it might be that you can take your child to the local library and find out what kind of books interest them, or it might be that they go to our library in school. Our librarian, Miss Hockey, is amazing and will happily direct students if they let her know what type of things they're interested in. She will direct them to the types of books that they can read. Checking in on reading time. So rather, like was mentioned before, about helping with sleep and bedtime, rather than screen time, it might be like, okay, you've got this book, it's about things that you're really interested in. Why don't you take half an hour to have a little read of that instead? Asking questions, being actively involved in the reading that your child has anyway. So it might be, oh, what's that book about? What's happening now? It might be that you read together. It might be something that you've read or you may have had a little idea about that you can make conversation about, and that will really pique their interest and make them want to read more, which again, obviously we know in turn will help improve vocabulary. And encourage your child to share new words they've learned in school at home. So they might have learned a scientific term. So you'd be like, okay, well, what does that mean? And, you know, trying to include it in a sentence if possible, if it's something in English. And that in turn will help them remember. That'll become part of their long-term memory. And that is in turn increasing and improving their vocabulary. So there's lots of things there. I know I've just talked through quite quickly, but we do have those 4 learning habits that we've done so far. We have another 3 still to go through. But it's something that we are constantly talking about in school. It's happening across all lessons, all staff, all teachers are using this language as well. So students are aware of this language. They are aware of what it means and what it kind of takes to become what we're calling a CHS scholar. And so far, our students have been, especially our year group, have been fantastic with taking this on board. And as soon as we're in a lesson, we're like, right, where's our stars? Sitting up, tracking, and that's been fantastic. So if you can try and keep using the similar language at home as well, then I'm sure we'll end up with 300 plus CHS scholars at an excellent level. Fab, I'm going to pass you on to Miss Quinn again. So thank you so much for your time. Too small.
Hello, me again. Okay, I'm just going to answer the questions that have come up on the chat here instead. So a lot of you are asking about the progress test information dates. There's a section on progress tests in a bit, but I know everybody's keen. So what we've said to students in assembly and in form time and, you know, through the pastoral curriculum is that the progress tests start on the 16th. So that is a fortnight of tests. So in that 2-week block, they'll be tested in every subject. With that, it's too much of a logistical nightmare to be able to give every child every single subject when their test date is. So what we've said to students, particularly year 9, 10 and 11, is it's about taking ownership of their tests. So for example, my drama class, a couple have asked me and I've said theirs is week 3, which is the lessons on a Friday. It's Friday the 20th. So they know that on Friday the 20th, they're going to be assessed in drama. And in the first lesson tomorrow, I'm going to talk through what that assessment's going to look like. So what we need is for students to actively ask their teachers when their test is. They've got their booklets which go through what they need to revise. They were kind of given out well before half term. And so they know. But the aim is on Monday, the 16th of January, all tests start. So that is when they need to be prepared for. And I know some of them have been revising over the holidays because I was chatting to some of them today about it, which has been lovely. So hopefully that answers your questions, but we do have another section on progress test and the new reporting process that we've got, which is brilliant. So I'm just going to whiz through our code of conduct. Now, you guys will know this because this has been since your child has started in year 7. But what I wanted to do was just remind you everything that we're doing with the kids in school. So this is kind of all day, every day, on the corridors, in assemblies, in lessons, in form time. But it's just a reminder that our code of conduct is based on mutual respect and kindness. So we are a huge school community, different backgrounds, religions, races. It's a wonderful community to be a part of. You know, we've got loads of staff who've been here for forever. And what we want to do is we want to give our students the tools to be successful citizens when they leave us. And that's why we are here. We're here to get the academic success, but we're here to get the other stuff as well, you know, the stuff that's going to get them, you know, going for, you know, a successful life. But we've got really high standards, and actually we've seen a real kind of stark change in behaviour since these new behaviour kind of habits have come in. So I'm just going to whiz through them for you, like Miss Dobson did with the scholars. But what I wanted to say is, okay, we're a bit competitive in this year team.
Very.
So in autumn term, okay, autumn 1, we got the most scholar awards in our year group. And then in autumn 2, we got even more. So both half terms, year 9, got the most amount of scholar awards, those lovely little certificates that were handed out in assembly, names up on the board, celebrated by their teachers as somebody who pays attention like a star. Their books are immaculate. And with the books as well, what I want to say is I was chatting to a parent about worrying about their child's writing not being very neat. And it's not about that. It's about the effort that your child is putting into their work for them, for their progress and them as an individual. And we've had such a beautiful range of scholar awards, but we got the most. So we will get the most in spring term, and we'll get the most in summer term as well. Okay, so this is our behaviour habits. So it all comes under, you know, being ready. Sorry, let me go back. Be ready, be respectful, be safe. And obviously there's kind of subcategories within that. So the be ready that we've been talking to students about is attendance, okay? Getting students in on time so that they're in informed time, so that they're accessing all of that wonderful information with their tutors and the assemblies as well. So we have a pastoral curriculum, which I talked through in the last session, where we're doing SSAT with our students. It's a qualification that when they apply for college, they can say, I got gold SSAT, which is something they've done outside their academic curriculum. And it sets them apart from other students in the city. And that's what we're aiming to do. But your help, what we need here is we need you to help us get that evening routine, getting them in. So, you know, the school day starts at 8:20. So, you know, at 8:20, at 8:25, me and Miss Baxter will blow the whistle. We'll get them lined up, get them organised, check the uniform, get them in. So they are starting form time at 8:30. 8:30 to 9 is form time, which is the pastoral curriculum. And it's a planned curriculum to give them the best tools to be successful in the future. One of the biggest issues that we've got in school, not particularly with year 9, is phones. Okay, it's a no phone school, that will continue, but that is genuinely to support them so they're focused on learning, not on TikTok. And then the toilets, okay, so regulating themselves so they are, you know, going to the toilet before school, break and lunch. Obviously, if the toilet pass, that's absolutely fine. And if they're desperate, obviously they can go. But it's just about them getting into good routines and good habits moving forward. So this is what we've run through with students, and they get like little kind of recaps of it all of the time. Uniform and equipment, I said this in the last session, not an issue, so I don't need to talk about it. Our year group are by far the best year group for uniform and equipment. Miss Baxter goes around the forms every single morning. They have all of their equipment out on the desk, their reading book, and they have that every day without fail. It's very, very rare to see a student without equipment in year 9. They have a bag, they have a uniform. When they haven't got a uniform, there's a sanction, they know about that. So don't need to talk about that. So thank you for your help and your support for uniform and equipment, because it is outstanding, notably outstanding for the other year groups. again, competitive. Attendance and punctuality. Okay, so we know that this is an issue, but obviously this is an issue for different students for different reasons. But when they're in our class, in on time, and they are learning, it's as simple as that, you know, being in the right place at the right time, getting to your lesson, not being late for lesson. We don't have a huge issue with lates in this year group, so it's not a huge issue. We have a huge issue with lates to school. And that means they are missing that morning pastoral curriculum where it's a check-in with the form tutor, a check of the uniform, a check of the equipment, and just making sure that they're ready for the day and to see if they need support. Yeah, go for it.
It's imperative that the kids do turn up for assemblies, because this is where the curriculum leaders are coming in to talk about how their options will go and what they want to pick. If they're not in there to hear that information, because some of them think if they choose drama, they're only going to be doing drama. Well, it's the other way around. You're going to do less drama and more theory. So it's important that we encourage the kids to be in an assembly to hear how the option process worked, because so many of them missed it on Wednesday because it was so late. I had about 50 kids late on the first day back at school. Never happened before, and I hope never to see that again. But that's where the curriculum leaders come to explain and sell their options to the kids, because every curriculum leader wants our students to pick them for their options. If they're not in assembly, they won't hear that information. It's important. So please encourage our kids to come in early and go to assembly so they can come home and explain to yourselves what the option process is.
If your child is absent for illness, ongoing illness, and there's medical reasons, you know, we are aware of that, and we will kind of, you know, support that. But we also have Teams, which is a brilliant tool, and we can send, you know, anything and everything to them. So if you feel like that doesn't apply to your child, then, you know, we can chat about that, absolutely. So be respectful is the other one. So one of the biggest bugbears of teachers on duty in the rain is hands to yourself and play fighting. So especially in year 9, they're very handsy, they like hands all over, and they like a play fight, but it is banned. Now, we actually banned it before we put this push on a whole school agenda. As a year team, we banned it, and they do respect that. So there is no play fighting, but they do like to kind of touch each other. So if you can encourage that, hands to yourself, because we know that when that starts, the play fighting starts and it spirals out of control, you know, the large majority of the time. One of the other things we've introduced or reintroduced is walking on the left, keeping them safe. We want our little year 7s to feel safe navigating around the building. So they've had that push, and then making sure that they look after their own belongings, and, you know, and making sure that they are looking after their own stuff and not taking other people's. Language, there's been a huge push on language. We've got an anti-bullying pledge, we've got an anti-bullying email. If somebody feels like they're being bullied, or if somebody is being bullied, there's an anonymous email that they can email in and get support, and we will do that as a year team. So, you know, as I said before, we're preparing them for the real world. We're preparing them to be respectful, and we're preparing them to be ready to be active, positive citizens of the world. And that's what we've been pushing. The last thing I'm going to talk about is movement around the school. We're getting better.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you agree?
Yeah.
They are walking on the left, but they're not always taking the fastest, calmest route. You know, when they get into the classroom, they can be a bit boisterous. When they leave the classroom, they can be a bit loud, and that can cause real issues on the corridors, and it has done last half term. So if you can encourage your children to move around the school calm, collected and safely, you know, that would be absolutely brilliant with your support. Okay, so I'm going to move on to progress test key information. So as I said earlier, the progress test fortnight starts on Monday the 16th of January, which is the 3rd week of the half term. All students were given a home study booklet last half term. They had dedicated 30-minute sessions throughout the week if they were in form, and their form tutors went through it with them of how to use the booklet. As Miss Baxter said, as a year team, we can sit down one-to-one and work out a timetable with them. We've got, you know, we've got the form time in the mornings to do that. They just need to give us a wave and we'll sit down and do that. It was also emailed out on the 7th of December. So if you've not got access to it, if you just search the 7th of December on your email from school, it'll be there. Now, we've got a little Loom video from Mrs. Wilson, our deputy head teacher, who's been driving all of the home study stuff. I'm going to attempt to share the video with sound. Now, we have tested. So I'm going to attempt to share this video, and I hope it works. So this is just a walkthrough that the students have had on how to use the home study booklet. If your child has not got a home study booklet, it's been emailed. If you still can't find it, tell the student to come to us. We've got stacks of them here. We'll hand them out, okay? It's still only week 1. They don't start till week 3, so we've got time. So here we go. Wish me luck. Screen. Okay, and if you let me know in chat if there's any issues, and then so you just let us know. No. Okay, so I believe there's no sound. So we will try that again. Okay. Stop sharing. Share. Haha. Okay. It's because I didn't click include computer sound. Would have been helpful. Okay.
Okay, so today I want to talk to you about home study, specifically linked to getting you all ready for your progress tests. Now, as you know, we have been talking about home study since the beginning of this half term, and we've talked about our scholar walkthrough of having a plan, organising our resources, maximising our study habits, and evaluating our progress. So we have been working really hard to develop this for you so that you have a really useful home study booklet to help you get ready for your progress tests. We've already talked about the difference between home learning, which is set by your teacher, and home study, which is all about independent revision and study habits that support long-term learning. And this is all linked to our memory model. And I talk to you about this all the time, but we know that when we pay good attention in lesson, the information goes into our short-term memory, but we have got to rehearse that information, revisit it, practice it, retrieve it in order for us to achieve long-term learning. And that is the goal of your time at Chorlton High School, that you achieve long-term learning. So your progress tests are weeks 3 and 4 of Spring 1, and they start on the 16th of January. And our home study walkthrough tells us about the importance of having a plan and getting organised. And that's why we're starting our conversation about it today. So we have put lots of work into preparing a home study booklet for you. And this home study booklet has 4 sections. The first is space for your progress test timetable. The second is a home study or revision planner. The third are very detailed revision lists explaining what you need to know in each subject. And the final page is a section on study tips. Now, I'm actually going to start a little bit further down just to give you a good sense of the information in the booklet. So you have got this section, which is step 2 on organising your resources. And in this section, for every one of your subjects, we can see an example of English and maths here. You have a list of what do I need to know and be able to do, keywords that I need to know, and knowledge toolkit information. So, for example, in maths, in the spring, year 8 will be tested on ratio and scale, multiplying and dividing fractions, working in the Cartesian plane, representing data, etc. This is the list of what they need to know. This is the list of key vocabulary that they need to know. And this is their knowledge toolkit. So they can go on to Hegarty Maths and revise. There will be resources on MS Teams for revision. They can use their exercise book, and they will be given a more detailed revision list in their maths lesson. So you have got this for every single subject, okay? Long list of the knowledge that you need to know, your keywords, and signposting to your knowledge toolkit, so where you go for revision. I kind of wanted to share that with you first because I think it's important that you know that you have all of that information before you approach your book. So this study book then, it follows our walkthrough, and the first step is about having a plan. So you're receiving this in form time today, and already it is populated with some of your progress test dates. So you can see that we've got Year 8 Science, Year 8 English and Year 8 Maths, all on these key times and dates as seen on the plan. Your first job over the next 2 weeks is in your lessons, you need to find out when each of your other exams are. So for example, you might find out that geography is period 1 on Tuesday, that science is period 3 on Friday, drama is period 1 on the following Monday, etc., etc. It is your job to get organized because these dates will be different depending on what class you are in. That is why we can't do this for you, and it's a good habit for you to get organized anyway. So your first job over the next 2 weeks is to have this booklet in your bag, get it filled in all of your lessons. And that way you're organized, you know when your tests fall across the 2 weeks. Also part of that step 1, leading on from having your progress test timetable, is developing your study plan. So you can see we have mapped out 4 weeks for home study, and this is the time that you are going to have for your independent practice at home, working through your revision. So we've mapped out 3 study sessions for you each day over the next over this period of 4 weeks. And that starts this week, continues next week, and then the first 2 weeks when we return home. Sorry, when we return to school from home after the Christmas holidays. So your job really is to think about, this is when all of my tests take place. This is all of the information that I need to know. Have a read through this and have a little think to yourself, which subjects do I need to do more revision in than others? Which subjects do I feel more confident in than others? So for example, an approach to this might be to go to your revision list and to go through it with your highlighters and highlight which topics you feel red, amber, or green in. Okay, so you could go through and kind of rag yourself, and actually at the end of that process you would see very clearly which subjects and which topics you find most difficult. You could do that across all of your different subjects, and that would give you a really clear way of knowing what your key strengths are and what your areas for development are. If after that process you realize you've got loads of amber and red in science, then it might be that you start plotting out science first. And maybe you plot science across each week. You have one 45-minute session for science across each week. If you've also identified, let's say, history as another tough subject for you, again, you might go through that process of plotting it across either the full 4 weeks or maybe, 3 of the weeks. It's up to you. You decide. So you have to plot all of your subjects. You've got to make space for them, but prioritize the ones that you know you have more work to do in. And a really good way of using this revision list is to use it, to rag it, to think about which knowledge is secure, which is really insecure, and which is somewhere in between. And just focus on the knowledge that is insecure and the knowledge that is in between. If you feel confident and you've given it a green, then actually that's the last thing that you come to. And that helps you to manage your time really well. So you're organized, you know when your tests are, you've plotted out your revision, you are now ready to start revising. And you are going to use your knowledge toolkit in each subject. So English is telling me here to use my exercise book to revise the characters, plot and themes in my novel, to use the home learning tab to find my specific spring progress checkpoint revision, and to use that to develop my discursive writing skills. So I would log on to Teams, I would go on to my home learning tab in my English lesson, and I would access those resources. I would also have my book ready as a revision tool. And you would do your 45-minute sessions in each of those subjects. Now, we have got some top tips at the bottom for you to maximize those study habits. So you've got your detailed plan. We have given you 3 key study habits that we think will work very well for you. The first is about utilising your online platforms. And for year 7 and 8, that is mainly your use of MS Teams and Bite Size. For years 9 and 10, we would add Seneca and GCSE Pod onto that list as well. We have also talked to you about the use of mind maps to maximise your study. And mind maps are a really useful way to map out big concepts and topic areas. So as you go through this RAG process, where you think about the topics that are red or amber, you would zoom in on that topic and do your mind map. Okay, and we are talking to you in assembly about what really good mind mapping looks like, and we're going to practice that with you in form time as well. But here's a little example of a student that has taken their science book and looked at the topic of energy that they find really difficult, and then they've taken a big topic and broken it down into a visual mind map, planning out those subtopics, looking at key vocabulary, you know, key formula, key ideas, and mapping that all together. Once you've mapped those big ideas, it's good to do further work with them and zoom into them by creating flashcards. And again, we are going to practice this with you, but flashcards are an excellent way to summarize key vocabulary, key subtopics. You summarize the information onto a little card, or summarize the definition onto a little card, and maybe put some key questions on the back. So the final step really is to be able to self-test and evaluate your progress. This is an absolutely crucial part of home studying. So you really need to test yourself to check if the information that you have been revising has gone into your long-term memory. At the end of your 45-minute revision session, you could do a bit of that. You could cover and check parts of your mind map or your flashcards, or you could use past paper questions if you're in year 10. Your teachers might give you some nice questions to test yourself on different topics. You could use those. But that's not just helpful to do at the end of the actual revision session. That's helpful to come back to the week after or the week after again. And that really checks if it's gone into your long-term memory. So we hope now that you go on to really take care of your home study booklet.
Okay, I'm just going to pause it there just because of time. Hopefully that was useful. Lots of people chatting saying it is. I'm just going to highlight a couple of things that have come up, and then I'm hoping that I can reshare the PowerPoint, she says. And then I'll just scroll across. Right, there we go. Okay, so you should be able to see that again. Just talking about a couple of people have mentioned about some students who've got SEN who struggle with organisation. That's why we've created the bucket in the first instance. So here's one I prepared earlier. But what we've got is the Access and Achievement team, who are an incredible team. Now I'm just looking in the extracurricular booklet. The Access and Achievement team have an after school club in F for Freddie 13 every single night, Monday to Friday. In there, it's a computer room as well. So in there, they can sit down with a member of staff, a member of the Access and Achievement team, and they can do this with them. So they can kind of plot the dates. If they don't feel comfortable speaking to their teacher, the TAs can do that for them. And we can help support them. Miss Baxter's just said she's happy to sit down with, we've made a note of the people who've commented on that. So we are here to support, but that's why we've created this booklet, because everything is in one place. So if your child has lost it, we've got a few spares, and we're going to put some more in for print over the weekend, ready for Monday as well. We've got a few in the office here, but it just gives them the opportunity to see what they need to study and to plot it. But like I said, the Access and Achievement team have a club every night after school, and it's a brilliant resource to get that kind of one-to-one support. So please, please utilise that. The next thing I'm going to talk about briefly is our new effort grading system. So when we are sending effort home, we are using a new system, which might be slightly different to what you're used to. So what we do is we do this every term, where we input the effort that students have put in for that half term or that term, depending on which one it is. But we know that, this criteria is harder to meet, but it works in conjunction with the learning habits and our code of conduct. And it feels really right to be at this point in our school journey to do this. because we can really track when the student's effort has gone up and down, and that has a direct correlation. And we know that if they put more effort in, they are going to succeed more. So we really, really urge you to look at this criteria in detail. But, you know, obviously you've got your headings like good, excellent. But if you actually look at the criteria, you know, for excellent, I arrive promptly, ready to learn, fully equipped for every lesson. You can only get an excellent, a 1, if you're doing that every single lesson. And these are high expectations, but I hope you agree with us that this is where we are pushing them so that we can, you know, really support them. Now, this slide and all of these slides are going to be available next week. The whole thing is recorded. All of these slides are going to be available on the website. We'll send you a little email to say when they're available. Somebody in the office will kind of collate it all and chop out my waffle. But you'll be able to see that slide. Yeah, that's not a problem at all. So please, please have a read at good and excellent, because that's what we're aiming for. And they are high expectations. But if your student gets a requires improvement effort grade, you'll be able to see exactly why and how to move them up. And if they don't know why, contact us and we will tell you. We have changed our reporting process. So we've got another loom. So this time it's Mr. Dawson, our deputy head teacher. He's going to talk you through how we are going to report the progress test information home, and how we are going to show you a more holistic view of what your child is like in school. I've been here a very, very long time. This is my 16th year, and this is genuinely the best reporting process, in my opinion, that we've had. I think it's really genuine, it's really purposeful, and it's really meaningful. So hopefully you will agree too. So I am going to now share my screen again. I will check the little box, and this is from Mr. Dawson. So, okay. Include computer sound. How do I get Mrs. Wilson off? Ah, there we go. Okay, here we go. That should be okay. Now, if you can't hear me or hear him, sorry, please just let us know in the chat. Thank you.
Hello. Welcome to this presentation on assessment at Key Stage 3 at Chorlton High School. This presentation is aimed at both students and parents and will help you understand the way that we assess and report in years 7, 8 and 9. My name is Mr. Dawson. I am one of the deputy head teachers here at CHS, and part of my role is working to improve the curriculum and the assessment of the curriculum. At Key Stage 3, we are changing the way that we do things. These changes are mainly to do with how we assess and what we report home to parents. We have replaced our old system, which was based on reporting progress of students. We believe our new system is much better, as it focuses on judging how well a student knows the curriculum in each subject. We are looking in detail at how the student is performing in key concepts in each subject, and more on this later. So to start us off, we have a question. What exactly is a curriculum? So a curriculum is made up of all the knowledge, skills and experiences that students will learn and be able to do across each of their subjects. At Chorlton High School, this is represented as a 5-year learning journey across each subject. Our aim is for students to become knowledge rich and move from novice to expert in each subject. In other words, it is everything that is taught and hopefully learned in each classroom at Chorlton High School. So what knowledge is in the curriculum? Knowledge is what students need to be able to be successful in their academic studies, and knowledge in the curriculum can be broken down into 2 main types. These are called declarative knowledge and procedural knowledge. Declarative knowledge is the what. It is the facts, the concepts or the rules. Procedural knowledge is the how. It produces some kind of action. It is following the steps of a process. Procedural knowledge can also be conditional, meaning it relies on knowledge that has come before. Another way to think of things is that declarative knowledge is key ideas and procedural knowledge is using, applying and critiquing them. So what we are going to do is to ask students' teachers about the knowledge that the students have gained in all of their subjects and ask them the question, How well have you learned the curriculum? How well have the students learned the curriculum? Therefore, this will be a judgment of how much knowledge, both declarative and procedural, students have gained over time. To do this, we're going to assign one of the 5 words you see here to each student in each subject. These words are emerging, developing, secure, extending, and exceptional. The words and what they mean will be slightly different in each subject, as the knowledge and skills needed for each subject differ. I'll now go into more detail on what each of the words mean in general terms. The first word to look at is emerging. A student working at this level has some knowledge and an emerging understanding of key concepts in the curriculum. An emerging student will find that learning is a challenge and that the subject content is difficult most of the time. They need to focus on practicing and learning key concepts so they can move to the next stage, which is developing. A student working at this level is developing their knowledge as outlined in the curriculum. They are developing the understanding of the key concepts, however, they're not yet secure in these. A student here will find lessons hard sometimes, but will be able to grasp many, but probably not all of the key concepts. They will make mistakes, but this is all part of the learning journey as they try to get their knowledge to be secure. And a student working at this level is secure in their knowledge. They have mastered key concepts and will get things right the majority of the time. All students should be aiming for their knowledge to be at least secure, as this will mean they are on target in their Key Stage 3 studies to have a solid foundation of knowledge at the start of their GCSE studies in Year 10. If their knowledge remains secure in Years 10 and Year 11, they will be looking at gaining Grade 5s and access to many of the courses that they want to study at college. A student who would like to specialise in a certain area should be aiming for their knowledge to be more than secure and extending. So a student working at this level is very secure in their knowledge. They are demonstrating that they have a greater depth of understanding and can apply and manipulate knowledge in key concepts. Students at this level often find that they are easily able to recall their knowledge and they learn things relatively easily, especially new things. They are accurate almost all of the time and are often reaching the extension activities in class. If a student maintains their knowledge at this level, they should be looking at studying the subject perhaps beyond Year 11, as they are capable of very high grades indeed. If a student's level is even beyond this level, the student's knowledge will be deemed as exceptional. And a student working at this level is excelling in a level that is exceptional. They display excellent knowledge, application, and the interplay of the key concepts that together demonstrate an academic flair for the subject. Students at this level are incredibly able in a certain discipline and are always quick and always accurate. This is a level that will only be reached by 1 to 2% of our student population, and students at this level should be looking at targeting Grade 9s, which is the highest grade in their Year 11 studies. So what happens over time? As students move through Key Stage 3, the curriculum will also change as it gets broader and more challenging. And our aim is for all students to be at least secure in their knowledge in all subjects. Our teachers work really hard to deliver lessons that enable students to have this knowledge. And they also work tirelessly to support students who have emerging or developing knowledge. Students who reach extending will be those who put in the extra work often outside the classroom in their home learning and home study, as we know that hard work and focused revision often pays off. So how do we make our judgments? Each subject area in every year group will have their own criteria for the 5 words that we are using to assess the student's knowledge. These will be sent home with any reports to parents, and I'll give you an example in a moment. Teachers will use a variety of evidence to judge where a student's knowledge is up to. They will use a number of factors that are listed here, and one of our large pieces of evidence of a student's performance are our progress tests that take place in the spring 1 half term and the summer 2 half terms. However, we understand that there's more to a student's knowledge than just replicating it on a test. and we take a balanced view of test performance together with the students' ability to communicate their ideas and thoughts through work produced in class and at home, or question answers and conversations had with students in class. Students will get their Key Stage 3 report in the Spring 2 and Summer 2 half terms, and they will look similar to the example shown here. We have a new system for reporting, and this is not yet set up, so we are aiming to send something that looks roughly like what you can see here. There are three main parts to reading the table. The first is to look at the curriculum statement for each subject, and the other two pieces of information are the effort grades, one for effort in class and the other for effort at home. I will revisit this table later, but I want to spend a little while giving you an example of how to look at the curriculum statements and how to use the effort grades effectively. And of course, there will be more subjects than just these few that I am showing here. So here's an example of what you may get from each subject. This information, as I said earlier, will be sent home with the reports and will also be available to view on the school website. This is Year 7 and it is food and nutrition, food technology. In red here, this is what has been taught over the course of Year 7 in food. It's broken down into knowledge and skills. Below, you'll see a number of statements that detail what the knowledge judgments look like. I've highlighted this secure knowledge in a yellow box to show what it means to be secure in food in Year 7. What you will see when you look at these sentences is that the more independent the student is, the further right their judgment will be. Class teachers will also help the students understand how to move their knowledge from developing to secure or from secure to extending. They will revisit knowledge toolkits used in most lessons. They will refer to personalised learning checklists that are used in many areas after progress tests to identify a student's individual strengths or areas to concentrate on, and they may direct some specific areas for home learning. Accompanying the curriculum statements, as I mentioned earlier, would be effort, and here is our effort grid. This details what we deem to be the skills and traits demonstrated by our students that will enable them to be CHS scholars. This grid again is on our website in the assessment and reporting area, so you can look at it in more detail then should you wish. Effort grades go from 4, which is poor effort, to 3, which is where effort requires improvement, to 2, which we deem as good effort, to 1, which is excellent effort. The top 8 rows are to do with effort in the classroom, and the bottom 3 rows that are shaded slightly darker are to do for effort in home learning. These effort descriptors are a group of learning and organisational behaviours that will lead to students being a success. And many of these behaviours are things that our students do on a daily basis and have been doing for many, many years. Excellent effort in the blue column is attainable for the majority of students in all they do. For example, they need to arrive promptly and fully equipped to every lesson. They need to show the right focus in lessons by sitting up straight, tracking the teacher, asking and answering questions, and showing respect to others. Student books should be exceptional, with new vocabulary written down and defined, and work presented so that the book can almost be used as a revision aid. Excellent effort by a student is also demonstrating listening skills, working collaboratively as a team, and responding well to feedback. Excellent effort in home learning is similar, but applying these same skills to work completed at home, and of course handing work in on time. The reason that I talk in detail about effort is that it's something that we are working on all the time in school. Form tutors and the year teams regularly revisit aspects of effort, and we'll go into great detail in one area at once, helping the student to understand just what is expected of them in all lessons. Teachers also reinforce the learning behaviours so they become habits, and the students will do them without thinking. And in my opinion, they are the most important part of the report because there are clear things that we can do in order to help students improve. So let's go back to the example report that I showed earlier. This student has clearly done well in most subjects and has a talent for drama with the effort grades and the curriculum statement of extending. But the student hasn't done so well in science or maths. Could this be that effort in class is not as good as it could be? The student here can put the effort into other subjects, so what's going on? I would certainly have a conversation with the child. Firstly, I would talk about the effort and get the students to think about what they are trying in their subjects that they're doing well in, and are they applying the same effort, the same behaviours, the same habits to their maths and science? Or perhaps maybe the student hasn't grasped some of the concepts in maths and science. So it would be worth to look back at the curricula in these subjects and look at the breakdown of what's been taught and whether the student has grasped it. This will also be supported by the class teacher. So the reports here help guide the support for the student learning. Some students may see these curriculum statements in their effort and be able to work independently on improvement in a few of their areas. Some students may require some support from parents, from teachers or form tutors. All of this is absolutely okay. It's part of the learning process to get the students at Key Stage 3 ready for further subject studies at Key Stage 4. If you would like to know more, please visit the assessment and reporting section of the school website, where all this information will eventually be stored. At the moment, it's under construction, but there'll be much more information on there early to mid-January. That's all from me for the time being. Can I thank you for your time listening to this presentation, and of course for your continuing support of all of our students.
Okay, so that's Mr. Dawson, our deputy head, and his that full video, that individual video, will be on the website, so I'll let you know where that is. Okay, so we're going to head to our last two little sections. We're doing well for time, a little bit over an hour. So if you just give me 1 second, I'm just going to reload up that PowerPoint. I'm just going to briefly talk about enrichment. So all of our clubs are bookable next week. So from parental feedback from different year groups, some parents were frustrated that they couldn't get their child onto a particular club because of the booking system. With Arbor, we are really restricted with what we can do. So the way that we've got it this term is the absolute best that we can do. So what's going to happen is the booklet will go to you either, well, hopefully tomorrow. It's all ready to go, just need to proofread it. So hopefully tomorrow the booklet will come out to you. That will give you the weekend to read the booklet, chat to your child and see what they want to do. Then the booking system will open first thing on Monday or first thing on Tuesday at 7 a.m. Now, ideally, we'd want that to be 5 p.m. So when people, or the large majority of people, have finished work, you can do booking, but Arbor doesn't allow it. It doesn't allow us to set a time, and we don't have admin staff in at that time. So the best way we can do it is give you the weekend to read it, and then first thing on Monday or Tuesday morning at 7 o'clock, you will be able to book onto whichever club you want to. The clubs are capped. We have to cap them because otherwise we'll have 400 kids doing badminton and we don't have the equipment. So I know it's not ideal, but it's the best that we can do. On the email, when I send you the booklet, I will tell you exactly when the system is going to open up. OK, so you'll know exactly when you can book. I know it feels a little bit like Ticketmaster to get your kid onto NFL Film Club. But like I say, it's the best we can do with Arbor, with the system that we've got. So just a little reminder of some of the clubs that we've got. I know I did this last time, but we've got some gorgeous clubs. We've got choir back up and running, drama club with odd arts back up and running, film club. We've got a brilliant supper club with languages and food technology. So they're going to do food from around the world where you sit and you talk in different languages and learn new languages. So we've got some gorgeous clubs. The other thing I just want to highlight is our community pledge. I know I talked about this last time, but I just want to let you know that Year 9 are looking at the cost of living crisis. So we've been talking about it in assemblies and form times, and students have already done loads of charity drives. They've raised loads of awareness of what's going on in our school community and our local community. But if you've got any ideas of how you might be able to help, or you want to help us, then please let us know, because what we are doing with the Year 9s is in school, we're going to set up a resource bank. So we've started it, Safeguarding team have started it, it's at the end of the drama corridor, and we've got rails and rails of clothes, shoes, our own little food bank going. and the year 9 teams are just going to run that. So if anybody needs any resources, like emergency, they can come to us if they need a winter coat, or you know, they've got a toddler sister 3 years old and they need a coat. We've got that, or we've started it. So if you feel like you can help, or you want to help, or you want more information, please just give me an email. That's my email address there. The last thing I'm going to talk about briefly is pathways. I could do a whole virtual event on pathways, and I know there's a lot of questions on it. So I'm going to talk you through the basics of the pathways process, and then let you know where all of the other information is going to come from. It's a lengthy process and it's thorough, so students have got enough time and enough attention from us to be able to make an informed decision. So these are the dates that Miss Baxter excuse me, went through earlier. So the Pathways Assemblies have been going since last half term, and curriculum leaders from each subject area have visited the assembly and said, so Mr. Kirkillis came in and said, we've got music GCSE and we've got music BTEC. And he talked through the difference between the two courses and what it looks like. Miss Needham from art did a little video of students talking about why they should take art or why they should take photography. So they've had that, and that's ongoing for the next 2 weeks. A parent's just asked on chat about if you can see those slides. It's a brilliant idea. I hadn't thought of it. Yeah, absolutely. What I will do is I'll put all of the slides from the curriculum leaders together and I'll send them to you so you can see the difference between the courses. It is in the booklet, but actually what they've done in assembly is a bit more in depth. So great idea. So thank you for that. On Friday, the 20th of January, you will get sent a booklet, and informed students will get a form. Now, I've gone old school this year, and instead of doing it online, I'm having a piece of paper because it makes me feel happy. Because what we're going to do is they keep the options form. We'll have spares, don't worry, for the disorganised students. And it's theirs to scribble on, get rid, change, make decisions, change decisions, put it in the bin, get a new one. I just feel like it's a better process, because actually the week commencing the 30th of January, they're going to have an options interview with an experienced member of staff. So it'll be the year team and other members of SLT who've done this process before and who know the option subject. And at the end of that interview, they're going to hand in their options form after having a one-to-one interview. Now, they don't have to, because the deadline isn't until the 10th of February. They've got time. But when we did this last time, it felt really kind of purposeful that they'd already filled the form out, they chatted it through with a member of staff, and then they were happy and they handed it in. If they're not happy because they want to think about it, absolutely they can take it away. But we're, like I say, we're going to go old school. Then on Thursday, the 26th of January, we've got the Pathways evening. And as Miss Baxter said, if you can, please come to that evening. So if you've got siblings from years gone by, you'll know what it looks like. So every curriculum area, every options area has a little stand, and they have books of GCSE and BTEC work. They have student voice. We sometimes have student helpers. Drama have the video on of the types of work that we do in at GCSE drama. So you guys will be able to chat to different curriculum areas. Your children can go around and chat to different curriculum areas. In team arts, we're competitive again, and you know, art have lollipops because they're trying to attract it. We don't need that in drama, and it's just a brilliant opportunity. And also, we get you back in the building. I know some of you've been to see performances for the musical, but we get you back in the building where the year team are there to talk to you and help support you in this process. If you can't make it, please don't worry. Either send your child with another family if you can, but just contact us. If there's something that you need that you're not getting from the booklet, from the website, from this session, then please just contact us, because we want students to be happy in their choices, and we want students to feel well informed and that they've made the right decisions. So that is the structure. Like I said, Friday the 10th of February is the deadline for Pathways forms, okay? So the next couple of slides are on the curriculum. So this is what your child's curriculum is going to look like next year, and it will be slightly different for some students. So it's really hard for me to go in depth because we've got 300 students and not everybody's going to follow the same pathway. So I'm going to give a generic kind of overview. If you've got any further questions, you've got my email address. You can email that to me. So I oversee Pathways. So hopefully I should have the knowledge. So we've got our core curriculum that everybody studies: English, maths, science, religious education and respect. It all kind of comes in under one. And then we've got core PE, which is an hour a week. So everyone studies that no matter what. Then what we have is the arts section, the EBAC section and the general section. We ask every student at Chorlton High to take an arts option. We're an arts college, we value the arts, we all know what the arts give to students, we know that it gives them lifelong skills that are transferable to any career. We know that, and hopefully you agree with us on that, otherwise you wouldn't have sent them to Chorlton High. But we've got art, dance, drama, media studies, music technology, which is the BTEC, and photography, okay? So within that, we want students to pick one of those options. All students in the year group are expected to take a humanities option, okay? So the questions that are coming up, I promise I will get to them. I can answer them, Sarah, it's fine. So we've got geography or history, and we expect all students, particularly with our year group and the mix of students that we've got and the cohort that we've got, we feel confident that everyone can be successful in those two subjects, especially with the way that they've been the last term. They've been brilliant. Languages, okay, we've got GCSE French and GCSE Spanish, and yes, some students will not access a language for a range of different reasons, but we expect the large majority of students to take a HUMS, a humanities and a language. The ones who I've spoken to over the last year about the languages, yes, obviously your student might not be able to access that for a reason. But this is why it's difficult to do it for everybody. But the large majority of our 300 students will take a language, okay? When they have their options interview and when they get their form, I am going to be the one who's going to be interviewing the range of students that we've got who might not access a language, okay? And I will have those conversations. But as I say, we've got a lengthy process with loads of one-to-one time, and obviously the year team are here to answer questions. Then we've got the general options. I promise I will come to these questions. So we've got business studies, computing, design and technology, digital IT, enterprise and marketing, food and nutrition. We've got PE as a GCSE as well as core, so they get 3 hours a week. We've got religious education, again, you'll get extended time with that. We've got travel and tourism, and we've got health and social care. Now, when you get your booklet on the 20th of January, there might be a few additions to that. This is just our up-to-date at the minute. So please be aware there might be a couple of additions. There won't be any that are taken away. Okay, so in terms of what your student can take, sorry, your child can take. So hopefully this will answer the questions that are just popping up. So this is what the form will look like. It will be slightly different for some students, but I know that you are desperate to see what it's going to look like. So I'll just talk you through it. So you will see that at the top we've got an art option choice. So you will select dance as an example. Then you select your humanities, and then you select your language, and then you have a free choice. Now in the free choice, we ask that, so in the bottom we have asked that your child selects 2 reserves. And that's just if the timetable doesn't work. So for example, if we've got 1 RE class and 1 PE class, but they're on at the same time, your child cannot do RE and PE. So sometimes the timetable does not work with the options that your child has picked, in which case we go to their first reserve and their second. It's very rare that we use their second choice. It's usually the first choice if we need it. The large majority of students get what they've kind of opted for. Now, let's say your child isn't doing a language. Your child then can pick from anywhere on the form. So they can go down to the general choice and they can pick anything, okay, absolutely anything. But their form will look slightly different to this. This is just the generic one, just so you've got an idea of what it's going to look like. So let me just come to the chat. Okay, someone's asking about, hang on, let me go to the top. Hopefully I've answered that question. Okay, take more than 1 art subject. Absolutely, you can. You can take an arts, you might take dance in your arts option, and then in your general choice, you might take drama, and that's your 2 choices. Absolutely. We need 2 arts. Miss Cummins, when you say 2 art GCSEs, do you mean photography and art? If you do, you cannot take art and photography because they have 2 10-hour exams on at the same time. So it's not possible to take art and photography as 2 GCSEs, if that's what you mean. For history and geography, so the advice for history and geography is that we don't recommend that students take both history and geography. Now, the reason for that is both subjects are very, very content heavy. They require a big memory. Both subjects have 3 terminal exams at the end of year 11. And if you take geography and history, that's 6 massive exams. And that's a lot of pressure. It's a lot of pressure on memory. It's a lot of pressure on the student for revision. And if you imagine if they took geography and PE, there's 1 terminal exam in PE and 3 in geography. So it's about thinking about them at the end of year 11, that cognitive load and being able to cope with an exam period. A lot of the times there can be 3 exams on one day. You might have a geography exam, a drama exam, and then a history exam in the afternoon. That is a lot. So we recommend that you don't. However, if it's something that you want to push, just email me and we'll have a chat. So how many GCSEs have you do? Hopefully you can see there. So they've got 4 options to take. 2 arts, I think I've answered that. Why is the RE in core and general? Oh, okay, right. So as you know, our students study something called respect. So that is our, like, in our day, PSHE life skills. So that's what we do. So our respect curriculum is a brilliant curriculum. They get an hour a week. Within that, we teach compulsory religious education that we are told by the government that we have to teach. But we do it in a kind of philosophical debate. It's a really kind of interesting and respect what they're used to way. If you take RE GCSE, there isn't repetition. It will only enhance your skills in the RE qualification. And RE as a qualification is a brilliant GCSE. So hopefully that won't put you off taking it, because it's an hour a week respect RE, and then they'll have their GCSE hours there. We've definitely told dance and drama could both done. Yeah, absolutely. Dance and drama. You've got dance in your arts option, drama in your general, no problem. Yes, okay, I've answered it. Is it possible to drop RE? RE is a compulsory subject at Key Stage 4, so they have an hour a week compulsory like PE. But as I say, it's within the respect curriculum. So what they're doing in EPR at the minute is, for example, this week we did, oh my gosh, that's just gone out of my head what we're doing. We're looking at knife crime, for example, next week. So knife crime, we're studying and debating our opinions on knife crime, religious opinions, and that's how we kind of implement the compulsory RE. So we do it in a clever way. So yes, please, please don't let that put you off taking RE, because it is a great option, but it's only an hour a week if they're not enjoying that subject. Yeah, key dates. Okay, so I'll just go back to that slide. The key date slides are there, so you can just write them down, and then I will obviously send you an email. We will be told how many terminal exams there will be. Yeah, when your child gets into that option, they will be told about the exam. If you want to know exactly which option has the exams and when they are, that's what you'll find out on the parental event, which is the options pathways evening. You can ask them. So you might go to PE. PE have 1 terminal exam at the end, and they've got coursework, so you can write that down and you can make that decision. But it is something to consider. The exam period it's a tough period. So we need to consider what's going to be best for them so they're the most successful for the next step. Additional language at GCSE without attending, I'm not sure. Can we write that down, please, Miss? Languages, additional languages, I'm not sure about that. The general choice is that 100% guaranteed that they'll be able to do their choice. It's totally dependent on timetable. The large majority of students get their first choice, like genuinely they do. But the only time they don't is not because they've been naughty or anything like that. It's because it doesn't work on the timetable. So logistically, it is not humanly possible to take those 2 subjects. It's definitely not possible to do art and photography, correct? Yeah, there's 2 10-hour exams on at the same time. It's not possible. Science I will come back to because Miss can answer that. And then hopefully, could you repeat, Kate? Oh, you've got key dates. Can students pick 2? Miss will answer the science. And can students take 2 general subs? Yeah. Yes. So, for example, if a child is dropping a language, they might be able to take computing and PE. They need to take something out of the arts option. If that's an issue, for your child, please just email me or call in to speak to me and we can have a chat. Miss, do you just want to answer the science questions?
Yeah.
So triple and double.
Yeah, of course. So with science is not an option, so we don't get any extra time on timetables or anything for it. So all students will have 5 hours of science every week in year 10 and 11. So 3 hours in year 7, 8 and 9, 5 hours in year 10 and 11. And that's regardless of whether you're doing triple or double award. Now, to do triple award, because obviously it's extra content, you have to be getting and being in the top 3 sets in science. So if you're thinking triple is something that you are able to do, then you need to be in those top 3 classes, because they're who we do triple science with. So the top 3 classes in the year group will be the top achieving in that year group, I'm afraid, and that's just because of time. So it is the extra content. Everybody else will do the combined, so you get 2 GCSEs for science. Hope that answers any questions. Any more, I will pop back over. Triple is just you get a GCSE in physics, in biology and in chemistry separately. Yeah, so triple you get 1 for each science, double you get 2 as a combined science award. So you'll sit all 6 papers, physics, chemistry, biology, and they'll get a overall grade, or 2 overall grades, sorry, for your combined award. Okay, that's
yeah. Okay, right, I'll just take a couple more because I realise that we've been here for quite a while, so hopefully we've answered your questions. All the general choice, no, some are BTECs and some are GCSEs, but that will be listed in the booklet of which one's a BTEC and which one's a GCSE, and there'll be information on the difference between the 2, as well as when you come to your the pathways evening, which starts at 6 o'clock. Ms Morris, myself and Mr Dawson will be doing a presentation which goes into that in a bit more depth, and then all of us will be there to chat. So you've got us 3, you've got Ms Morris, you've got Mr Dawson, and you've got all of the teachers who will be running the stands as well. And to answer yours, Caden, yes, that is correct. You will be able to do them if the language is dropped. Okay.
Science, I think we've got stands on that evening as well anyway.
And science do have a stand, yes, you do. Okay. So in terms of languages, it is decided based on the data that we've got on a child. So if your child doesn't need to take a language or doesn't need to access language, you will know about it because I will contact you. So we will be in contact. So hopefully that's answered all of your questions. So I'm going to end the presentation there. This video has been recorded. It'll be on the school website. I'll send you a little survey at the end and I will let you know exactly when it's available. Mr Dawson and Mrs Wilson's videos are already on the website. So if you want more information on the learning habits or the booklet or the new reporting process, then you can access that already. It just takes time to edit this and put it together and cut out the waffle. So thank you so much for attending. Welcome back. Hope you all had a happy new year, and here's to a great 2023. Thank you. Bye.